Welcome back everybody to another episode of Skidz Garage. I'm Skidz and this is my garage. And today is going to be an update for the channel. And we'll go through an update of all my cars. So, let's get into it. Welcome back everybody, and today we're obviously doing an update for the channel and go through all my cars. So starting with my 1974 Mark I Ford Escort panel van. This one specifically referred to as the red panel van, but what I've done within the last year, because I want to do a yearly update on where I'm at with all my cars, is I've done some repairs on the door here and just fixing up some rust on the body. This panel van's gone a lot slower than I would like, but it's not really been my priority at the moment. Underneath, I've pulled all the diff out, fuel tank, pulled everything out. You'll see there's no drive line, no gearbox, no nothing. You can see I've been cleaning it. I haven't cleaned back here yet. Give you a comparison. But I want everything all cleaned under here, and then I want to put everything back in. So there's the diff, all cleaned up, dusty but cleaned up, and pretty much everything I've pulled out of it, all cleaned up, ready to be put back into it. Got a freshly rebuilt gearbox to put into it, so it's slowly moving along, but I'll emphasize slowly. All inside, it's been pulled apart, doing various little jobs on it. Need to pull my finger out and get stuck into this a little bit more. Need to get this back on the road. So I pulled it off originally to fix a death wobble in the front suspension, which turned out to be a ball joint being worn out. So I've gone right through the front suspension and done all that. That was before my channel, so got no videos of that. So, and then that led on to, stripping all underneath and trying to get all underneath the car looking minty clean. So that's it for the red panel van. So here I have my 1991 Nissan 180SX, and to be honest, I've hardly even driven it in the last year. I've hardly done anything with it. It's literally just sat here and done nothing. The only thing I have actually done is I've installed a ethanol content gauge, but that is literally all I've done to this car. I do have plans for this car. I've got a Z32 gearbox conversion sitting there ready to be put in. It's just a matter of me getting stuck in and doing it. I've also got a S14 rear subframe to put in. Again, that's just a job I just need to get stuck into and do. It's just this car's unfortunately been thrown on the back burner and I just haven't put any time into it. My end goal with this at the moment is really to make it into a street circuit car, something I can actually drive to a track, give it a good beating at the track and just enjoy it and drive home. That's my goal for the car, but it's got a little way to go until I get it to that stage. It also needs a good solid service as well. Hasn't been serviced for ages and needs a good top to bottom service. So yeah, it's just gonna sit here until I get around to putting some time into it, really. So that's where this car sits. So let's move on to the next car. Here I've got my 1978 Mark II Ford Escort sedan. This has had plenty of videos done on it. Pulling it out of the shed after however many years it's been sitting around for. Fixing it up, getting it back on the road and getting it to a small Ford show, which was my goal for the year for this car. At the moment, you'll see, it's got its diff, fuel tank and everything all pulled out. That was because I went to jack it up. The jack slipped off the diff and smashed up a whole heap. So I smashed up the fuel tank, the little bracket that the handbrake rod runs through, keeps it all in line. And when I try to take that little bracket off the diff, I end up punching a hole in the back of the diff housing. So that's all been pulled out to be repaired, which is real unfortunate because I was really enjoying driving this. But anywho, that's where that car's at. I've even put a baby seat in it. I got so enthusiastic about driving this. I wanted my daughter to come and enjoy the rides with me, so I chucked a baby seat in the back. Bought a baby seat just to have her enjoy drives with me. But obviously, haven't been doing a lot of driving in it. So that's where that car currently sits. Here we have my Mazda 6 2019, and haven't done nothing to this other than maintain it. Only thing I have actually done to this, in fact, is I got the brakes needed redoing, well, just servicing, and I got some outrageous quote to have it done. I end up doing it myself for a fraction of the price. I have done a video on that I need to sort out and post up. Otherwise, I've literally haven't spun a single spanner on this car, and the intention's not to either. Don't really want to touch it. I've got enough of my own projects to have to touch this one. So that's where that one's at. Here I have my 2010 Ford Falcon sedan. This one's a lot like the Mazda. I'm trying to minimize the amount I touch it. I just want to maintain it. However, unfortunately, this is getting to the age where it's just starting to fall apart around me. So I've got the shocks have blown out on it, so it's horrible to drive. Power steering whine, the typical clunky diff due to worn diff bushes. The list goes on. There's so much wrong with this car. So it's just a matter of putting some time and money into it. Hopefully I can bring it back to A1 condition. So you probably noticed since my first introduction video, this is where I showed you the XR4 that has since been sold. That buyer I said I had lined up for it, followed through, purchased it, has actually been keeping me updated with the car, and they're absolutely loving it. So I'm absolutely over the moon knowing that it's gone to a owner that appreciates it. Here I have my 2002 VU Commodore Ute. This I haven't done anything with. I can't afford to rego it because it's not eligible for club rego, and I can't see the point of regoing it as an additional car and not being able to take the kids in it. It's just something I can't afford at the moment, so waiting for it being eligible for Club Rego, which will be in fact 3 years time. In those 3 years, my plan for it is to put a L67 into it. I've got it, the L67's in there ready to be put in. I've also got a manual conversion for it. So the plan is to do an L67 manual build on it, and then hopefully 3 years time, Club Rego, get it out on the streets and start enjoying it again. I actually really miss driving this car. Don't know why, what it is about this car, but I absolutely love it. So let's migrate over to location B and suss out the cars I've got over there. And with the magic of editing, welcome to location B. And I'm currently standing in the location my white 4-door should be at, because obviously that's at location A. But here I have my 1974 Ford Escort panel van. This one, so it doesn't get mistaken for my other panel van, I refer to as the orange panel van. Now, in my last year, this hasn't had anything done to it. I've just essentially pilfered parts on it to get my blue 2-door running. My plans for it is to do a will it start video on it and see if I have any luck getting it running. It was last registered in 1995, so I can only assume it's probably hasn't ran since then, and I reckon this one's going to be probably give me some trouble getting started. So yeah, that's my plans for it. Then when it's if I get it running, I'm going to see if I can get it driving. Well, see if all the drivetrain works. So to do that, I'll probably end up just jacking up the rear and seeing if the rear wheels spin. Then I really don't know what my plans for it are. So if you have any ideas, throw them in the comments. And here I have my 1973 Mark I Ford Escort 2-door. Now this I have done a fair bit of work on in the last year. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll see to what extent it took to actually get this running and driving. So this will fire up and drive, and was actually driven out of the shed and then back in. So from here, it's just a matter of piecing it back together. My plans is to hopefully get this back on the road. There's an awful lot of work on this to get it back on the road, but that's my long-term plans for it. So I'm slowly collecting the parts needed for it, and hopefully piece it back together and get it back on the road. So as you can see, a lot of work needed, but I'm up for the challenge because I love this little car and I would love to enjoy it out on the streets. So that's the two cars here at location B. Let's migrate over to location C. My final three cars are at location C, which I can't film at due to the individual who has allowed me to keep my cars there requested me not to for their own privacy, and we must respect that. So there will just be photos of the cars. Let's go ahead and check these final three cars out. Here's my 1997 Holden VT Commodore wagon. Only thing I've done to this car in the last year is buy a new ignition switch to replace my current broken one and got a key cut for it. My plans for this car is to get it running using the running gear from my VX Commodore that you'll see shortly. Once running, I've got plans to use it as a workhorse, put things in the back and be able to have my kids in it at the same time. That's the rundown for this car. Let's move on to the next one. Here's my 2000 Holden VX Commodore sedan. In the last year I've done absolutely nothing to it. It's defected and I can't see it being worth my time removing the defect. So the plan is to use it for its running gear and get my VT wagon running again. Once it's stripped of all its running gear, I've no idea what I want to do with it. So if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. And here's my final car, my 1979 Mark II Ford Escort 2-door. In the last year I've done nothing with it, but have been slowly collecting parts for it with intentions to piece it back together and make myself a rat rod rally pack. So that sees us to the end of this update video. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see yous on the next episode of Skidz Garage.